Good morning.
Good morning, Jenny.
It's always that, what button am I pushing? Wait, is it this button? I'm
Yeah.
not sure. Is it that button? Okay, just for all transparent. Whoops, hold on a second. I've got it. Dang. Um, we had everything set up with our guest for this morning, and our guest has not checked in. So if you're on for the guest, you're gonna have to hang on because until the guest, hopefully the guest will get with us. And there was something that just got mixed up. So I'm holding on to the phone. So just in case something happens. So hey, what did you and I both find out this morning together at the same time?
Well, imagine that the powers that be are using the images from the flock cameras to track you in every scenario, including big insurance, to say that you were where you said you were when an accident or something happened.
That sounds a little big brother to me. Michael, what do you think?
Yep. And is on all those flock cameras, that's all tax dollars, 100% paying for those, isn't it?
Oh, yes, 100%.
So
once again, you and I are sowing the seeds of our own destruction.
Yeah. And flock is probably not just being nice and just giving all that data away for free, do you think? I mean, don't you think they're probably making some pretty good money?
Flock? Oh, no, it's all benevolent. These people, they don't care about money.
Wow.
You can't even listen to that with a straight face, can
Wow.
you? It's kind of like, that's not even funny, really. I mean, Gracie says, good morning, Gracie. And duh.
Well, we need to find that. So you sent me that clip, but on one of the shows, we need to actually play that clip on the screen so people can see it and hear it.
I would do it right now, except for the fact I don't know how to find stuff on TikTok that's on my phone.
Oh, it's on TikTok?
Yeah. So like if I would have to send the link to my email and then click the link on my email to bring it in, which I can do. I mean, I could do it really fast. Because I just wanted you to know that I've sent it to at least one Oklahoma City councilman. Because don't forget, I have a flock camera at 178th and Triple X Road out here in the boondocks, NOH Date 36.
They want to make sure they know where you're going, Jenny. They're like, right. That like Jenny White, we need to know when she leaves the neighborhood.
She's gonna go stir a little pot. I don't know, maybe. Okay, let me and by the way, I don't know if Dana Nana's on this morning, but if she is, she's the one that sent this to me. So we have her to thank for this. So let me forward it to my, well, hello. Okay, honestly, sometimes I wish I could be like a lot better at Okay, I need to be so much better at figuring out how to do things, and yet I'm not. All right, hold on. It just takes me a second. I can do it. I can actually do it. I promise. All right, here we go. There it is. Okay, all right, I can do this. Push fear on people for years, then offer cameras. Yeah. Oh, no. I don't think I thought about it like that before. Oh, no. I'm always thinking about something new thanks to you people, and it's not always good. It sometimes doesn't make me feel all that much better. Thanks so much, everybody. Particularly you this morning, Gracie. Oh, shoot. Okay, hold on. Here it is. Okay, can you pause just 1 second? Okay, are you ready? I stop and pause. Thank you. All right, ready? Here, I'm going to pull it in. Share screen. screen share. Here it is. Okay. All right. Can we see it if I pull it in? There we go. Add to stage. All right, everybody, you ready? Here we go.
On it because this is an asset they have that insurance companies want, where if they can establish you're driving recklessly, you can get that letter saying, we now know that you drove 92 miles an hour on this date at this time. You're a reckless driver. We're going to raise your rates.
Yeah. Is there ever a thought that they could get into the city police cameras and, that identify your license plate and then tie that back to you that way?
Already happening. So we had a situation in which we had a client that was in a crash. The insurance company denied that the damage caused in the crash was caused by their person. The way they did that is all of these cities, Oklahoma City included, now has cameras all over the city everywhere that are capturing data. And the insurance companies have purchased the right to go into that and run your plate to see if they can get a picture of it anywhere else at a common intersection, not do anything wrong, but to see if they can take a picture of your car to see if there was damage to your car in the spot that you claimed.
Oh my
In this case, we defeated it. They sent us 7 pictures of our clients over 7 different days at 7 different parts in the city showing what they said was no damage to that particular part of the car.
Yeah.
We were able to show in that case that every one of the pictures had just the way the lighting was, it was really difficult to tell. But there's no question the insurance company accessed Oklahoma City's police data camera and searched for a specific license plate and found 7 places where my client's car was located on different days unrelated to the crash.
That doesn't seem right.
Life 360 is making
that doesn't seem right.
No, it doesn't.
Are you right. Well,
check. Something not right about that, Jenny. For some reason, it just doesn't seem right.
I gave myself a headache from laughing so hard. I mean, I know I probably shouldn't be laughing, but I mean, honestly, of course it's not right.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you even think it was right?
Yeah. And as technology advances, the surveillance is only going to get worse. I mean,
so did you see that I just read this, so I don't know if it's true. And you know how people put things up on their Insta, and you're like, oh my gosh, the world is falling. So I saw something about that Congress had been unable to stop the part of some bill that was going to put a kill switch in your car. Have you heard about that?
Mm-mm.
It's been off and on. I know there's something to it. I just don't know what that is because, I don't pay any attention to federal politics at all because I believe all politics is local. So I don't. But every once in a while, I'll hear something that comes across my radar. And one of them was something about putting a kill switch in your vehicle. And I'm like, okay, this is not okay. Lisa says, this is a tricky one for us. We have 8 cameras total around the outside of our property only. One helped identify the car that took our neighbor's toddler. Oh my goodness. And the sheriff's office caught him within hours. Wait, so are they your cameras, Lisa, or they're somebody else's? Because if they're yours, I don't have a problem with that. Surveil your own property all you want. That's not my problem. I can't imagine you have. And yet I know someone was hit on the turnpike and they ran and no one can check cameras at exits or anything to find the person that hit her. Isn't that funny how that works? See, it works. It works in some situations and then it doesn't work in others. And that's the other thing, purchase the right to access. They haven't paid me anything for my right to privacy. Amen, Gracie, because that was the other thing that hit me. So you're telling me that Oklahoma City is allowing people to pay to access our data? That's what it sounded like to me. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that's what it sounded like. Is that what it sounded like to you?
Yeah.
So Oklahoma City Council is allowing people to pay them to see our data. Yeah, I'm not okay.
Well,
with
that doesn't seem like our taxes are going down since they got this extra revenue coming in.
Yeah. I don't think they care about any of that, right? Do you think?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, so we do have our guest on. Thank goodness. He was scaring me. You were scaring me, Kenneth. I'll have to get you later. Don't be in a dark parking lot. Kenneth, it reminded me that we used to know each other a long time ago. We started a group called the Oklahoma City 912. And then we had like a South Side group and a West Side group and an East Side group. We had all of these. And Kenneth was involved in one of those, and he reminded me because I was like, oh, I remember that name. But we haven't spoken in a long time until he brought his website and his particular issue to my attention. And so I'm very happy to see him again. So I'm going to bring him on. Hello, Kenneth. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. I got up early to try to make sure this would work, and I was worried about that. I'm not good with electronics either.
Well, I think, you do what you can, and then, then we let it go. So you have a very interesting, I'm going to pull it in because I actually have it up, and I want to share it with people because your website is very interesting. So I'm going to put this up. All right. So this is the first page of your website. It's called seedsofvice.com. And you talk about, are you in pain? And your whole website is about different forms of pain relief. So again, it's seedsofvice.com. We'll leave it up here for a little bit. I'll pull it down and then we'll pull it back up again in a little bit. But I'd like you to tell me kind of, give me your backstory here.
Well, I broke my back when I was about 9. And when I broke my back, I broke my leg, and they put me in a cast up to my thigh. And I spent a long time in a wheelchair, and it took me a long time getting back walking and everything. And in that time, my back, which they didn't find out about, healed. It didn't heal correctly, but it healed. So from that point forward, I hurt, but nobody could tell me why.
Okay.
So I go through school, I get into high school, and I start working out, and the pain goes away. But I'm working out 3 hours a day, wrestling. I was hurting, but it was a different kind. And then when I got out of high school and that routine went away, the pain came back. And then the older I got, and the more I kind of tried to ignore it, the worse it got. Eventually, I ended up having a spinal fusion right before everybody started talking about the opioid crisis. And so at the time, they were giving me medicine. And at that time, if you were in pain and you went to a doctor and you said, I want medicine, I want pain medicine, if they said no, they legally had to refer you to somebody who would give you pain medicine. And then so I went from that kind of situation where I had a broken back, it healed wrong, I had somebody go in and fuse it. I came out of that and I was fine. So much so that I was wrestling around with my brother-in-law on his wedding day, and I hurt myself bad. And so I went back to the doctor, but I was 20 something, and the opioid crisis and everything was just getting started. And I just had back surgery, and I had just got done telling them how great I was doing. And then I came back for pain medicine. And so that got me to a point where the doctor sent me to pain management. And then I went through that whole thing. Okay. I ended up having 2 more surgeries. The second surgery, the doctor cut me too high up, and it really messed me up, but nobody said anything, and he didn't take responsibility for it. I didn't find out till the next surgeon opened me up. So in between that time, I didn't have any medicine. I couldn't get any medicine in Oklahoma. And it was really discouraging.
You mean nothing but over the counter?
Over the counter, ibuprofen, yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Ibuprofen. And then eventually the doctor started telling me, no, don't take that. It makes your bones brittle. And so the advice changed over time. The medicine was non-existent between the second and third surgery. I got pre-approved for my third surgery in Oklahoma by a doctor who wouldn't give me pain medicine. It was my primary. And I said, so in the middle of the appointment, I said, are you going to pre-approve me for surgery? And they said, yes. I go, can I get pain medicine? And they go, no. And I go, so you're going to pre-approve me for surgery, but you're still denying me medicine. And I go, do you have a problem with that? And the doctor left. And when the doctor left, like 3 minutes later, the owner's wife stormed in the room, gave me a receipt, told me to get out. And I said, I need my referral. And she said, get out. And I said, I want my money back. And she said, you paid to be seen. We seen you, get out. So then I went down the street to the hospital that just opened up and went to the emergency room and got pre-approved for surgery there. I had surgery in Texas. My third surgery, I went to Texas. I laid in bed in the pre-op for about 8 hours with doctors coming by asking me, what medicine do you take? I'm like, they don't give me medicine. Okay. And then 30 minutes later, hey, what medicine do you take? They kept doing this over and over again. They just didn't understand that I couldn't get medicine, but I was having surgery.
Why couldn't, what was their reasoning for not giving you any pain medication?
Okay, so when I was younger, I was too young to be in pain. No joke, that's what they said. When I got too old to be called young, they said I was too fat. That's why I was in pain. I didn't need pain medicine. I needed to lose weight. It always comes back to me, and I'm not healthy because of my decisions, so I don't deserve pain medicine. And okay, so the reason why I started the website, though, isn't because this happened to me. This happened to me, so I know what's going on. That's why I started the website, because this is getting ready to become mainstream. Okay, no medicine for anybody unless you're dying. I swear it's coming. And so I was going through all this, and this is my life, and my family is the one that bared it with me. And there was no reason. I stopped going to the doctor because there's no reason. I mean, I can go to Walmart and get ibuprofen. Unless I have an infection and I know I need an antibiotic, I don't go. So, I started the website. I was watching the news one day, and somebody from the FBI was on and said that poppy seeds were a problem. Now, at this point, I couldn't.
Poppy seeds were a problem in what way?
Okay, so
they were being trafficked, or
okay. So this is the deal. This is how they go. This is how they govern over us right now. What we don't know controls us better than their ability to or our conscience. So it's better for us not to know certain things. When I was learning,
for the powers that be, we need to know as much as we can. But yes, the powers that be like us to be in the dark for certain.
Mm-hmm. And the best thing they've been able to do for us is get us to forget different parts of the past, parts of our history, parts of the way our great grandparents lived that they don't want us to know, because before they took away our ability to take care of ourselves, we took care of ourselves.
No.
They want to act like everybody.
I can't imagine how we managed to get here the way we are by taking care of ourselves. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm making, because you're right. I mean, it's literally ridiculous. And now we're so far down the road that if you say, like, for example, I'm taking some homeopathic medicine for an intestinal overgrowth of bacteria. You can go take an antibiotic for it, but I'm not. I'm trying to solve it with homeopathic, in a homeopathic way, and it's working. It just it takes longer. But if you tell people this, wow, that's just stupid, and that's what we have medication for. And I mean, there are people literally who will go to the mat to argue with you that you are an idiot because you're using what nature gave you and not what big pharma provides.
Yeah. The funny thing about big pharma, I even going back. Okay, so FDR is not somebody I'm a big fan of, and going back that far is where this all started. Actually, going back to the suffrage movement, but the way they got this to be to even get started, because they weren't able to for the longest time, and the way they slipped this in is with women's rights to vote. That's how they got drug got control of our medicine and our drugs is they tied it to that and they pushed it. And of course, we were going to support that. So
They never do that now.
they tie, oh God. The website, though, it's not so much about changing laws, even though I do try to help people who want to. I tried to take them from I want to change the law to we need to change the Constitution, because the laws are how we are ruled over, how they control us, and how, you know, we can fight over how we're all controlled all day long, but that doesn't really get us anywhere. We end up spending our entire lives doing that every single day. If we go at the constitutions and we change the constitutions, and it's not so much changing the words, it's changing the interpretation, because this was finalized in about 37 when FDR threatened to pack the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court changed the direction of its leaning towards the New Deal projects and stuff. That finalized it. It started with the suffrage movement, and when it got to that point, it was locked in stone, and that was our lives going forward. And then after that and everything, World War II came, and I mean, talk about searing patriotism into a generation, and that greatest generation was actually the first generation of the New Deal. They're the ones that came home to the New Deal, had their families in the New Deal, and that's what they got. But they're also veterans, and they got veterans deals too. So it wasn't really that far of a stretch. But their parents' lives were a lot different than theirs.
Yeah.
But by the end of the war, they had no fight left in them. They were done, and they were comfortable. They were welcomed home.
Well, I wanted to show this because I think we all tend to agree with this. You can't have pain meds, but you can have a vaccine. I mean, we're all laughing. It's just so not funny. They have, and I say they, and we all say they, you know, but we all know it's just a set of really rich people that, you know, stemmed from the 20s and even before change of the century there. That had a particular vision for the United States, and it involved making the rich people richer.
That vision doesn't involve you, Jenny. They don't want us here. There's no doubt about it.
And so when it was the rich people being richer, you know, then they had to do away with the rest of us. And it explains so much for people who have their eyes open. It explains so much when you think about it like that, and you go back and you think, so why would they want to change and make public education? Why would they want to dumb it down? You know, why would they want to put these little boxes in front of our face and make us, you know, dependent on them?
Those will be callers.
Yeah, it's all of these things. It's just so, well, and Gracie makes the point, I should just call them the elites and not them. I mean, I agree. And Lisa says, it's about removing the stupid laws that forbid us to grow a plant and give nurses and doctors the ability to call us drug seekers at will. And then she says, adults can't have any control of their own pain, but minors can transition.
I mean, what do you say to that?
Well, it's another excellent example of why we're talking common sense, and we're not in an era of common sense anymore. Because as Gracie said up here, it's all about control. Yeah. Well, so tell me what you do now. I mean, tell me what because I went out and read your website pretty extensively the other day. And I have to tell you, I think you guys need to go to the website and just read what he has out there. And then you need to share what he has with other people, because people whose minds aren't open to these kinds of things and they don't understand or see government control, maybe somehow just what Kenneth has provided there would kind of wake you up, because he's got some good history, like he just explained, about prohibition and that kind of thing. But you also have, I mean, you're a horticulturist.
I like that you, I like your little farm, your little backyard farm. I seen it the other day when when I went to talk to you. I thought that was really cool.
Well, explain what you do in as a horticulturist.
Well, I mean, I don't put it that way. I've always been fond of plants. I grew up with my hands in the dirt, and it's just my grandma taught me how to grow plants and everything. So when things didn't work out well for me and I was suffering really bad, I leaned on that. And so I started learning about the plants, and I started learning specifically about cannabis first, back when it was not medicinal here, back when it was trouble. And so I was under that kind of pressure when I was learning. I was reading things that I didn't want to be caught reading, and I was buying books I didn't want to be caught buying. And so that's how I started really learning about the science behind it and how to do it inside, and honestly, how to do it without anybody knowing you're doing it. And so the laws changed here, and it helped me get better. It did make things better for me. And I started learning about, I always thought cannabis was like, oh yeah, that's the medicinal plant. It's nice, but it's really not. The poppy is the mother of all medicinal plants. I mean, it's the big daddy. So I started reading books about it, and it's legal. It's legal. And that's the thing that nobody really, the government, they don't want anybody to know, is it's legal. The same seeds that I sell, you can buy at Walmart, and I give away. You can buy them at Walmart. I just grow and take from the best plants I can. And then I have friends who are really good at growing. They take from the best plants they can. And then we buy everything I can, and I put it into a mix, and then I give it away. I mean, I sell it so I can give it away, but I give it away. The first pack's on me. I got a stack of books that people should read. This one right here is the most important. If you are in pain, this book right here, it's called Opium for the Masses. This book right here, it's trouble, but I wouldn't want to get caught in a bad situation and not have it. If I had the seeds and I had this book and Armageddon happened, I'd be okay. For real. I mean, if it got that bad, I'd be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's not that I suggest people act on the information they learn. It's legal to have the seeds. It's legal to buy the seeds. It's legal to grow the seeds. It's not legal to turn it into medicine. And I don't suggest anybody do that, but I do suggest they have the books and they know how to, because I mean, you never know what's going to happen to you. And if we leave this to the government, I'm telling you, I left it to the government before, and it drove me in the backyard, and I wasn't planning on walking out of it. That's what you get when you wait for the government. They don't show up.
Well, or they're telling you what you can't do.
I was not allowed to save myself. I could have at any moment. I could have. I didn't have to go through anything I went through, but I did because they told me to, and it's part of my character. I don't follow the laws because I'm told, So I do it because that's part of who I am. And they said, don't help yourself. And I said, fine. And finally, I got to a point where I was like, that's fine. But these books I've been scared to read, I'm going to start talking about. I don't care if people know I read them anymore.
Well, let me ask you this, because I think one of the things is, so for people who do know, there are a lot of people on here who do know. So I'm sorry to tell the story again, but for those of you who don't know, I had total knee replacement surgery because I fell off my horse and dislocated my knee about 8 years ago. And once you dislocate your knee, it's pretty much fudge. I mean, it's not going to work. And they fixed my ACL. And so it kept it stable for a little while. But then my ACL, because they put a pig one on there, it doesn't last forever. And so it died and went away. And then my knee was going backwards. So eventually I figured that the best thing I could do, because people have been telling me, get a knee replacement. Well, I am allergic to opioids. So I'm unable to take them because I go into, I get hives and then can go into shock. So it's not something that I can actually use.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried finding different methods, like homegrown methods. Bromelain was supposed to be a good pain reliever. It comes from pineapple. And I tried various and sundry things, but nothing worked. And so for a full month, I was in so much pain that my brain wouldn't function. I couldn't think of things. I couldn't speak properly. I wasn't eating. I couldn't do these things because I was in so much pain, and I would just sit and cry. Because I had nothing else I could possibly do. And all I could think of is there has to be something better than what we have. And because ibuprofen isn't going to touch a knee replacement pain. It's just simply not going to do it. And it didn't. And even then, for some reason, my liver didn't like ibuprofen, and I'd take ibuprofen 800 and it didn't touch it. So, nothing. And for people who have not been in chronic pain, and I would consider chronic pain anything, probably even over just a week. When you get to the point where you don't feel like there's any way out of the pain that you're feeling, and you know that you can't live the way you are, one of the things you do is think about playing in traffic, because, what's the point? I can't just live like this. This isn't really life. This is just existing, right? So it's and I tried DMSO. I love you for saying that, but I tried and it wasn't going to do anything for a knee replacement. It works on other things, but unfortunately, didn't even touch that. But there's got to be something else we can do. And one of the things that I was thinking about, Kenneth, and I'm really interested on your take on this. I have friends who have grown cannabis, and I have friends who take various forms of cannabis. I used a CBD oil just to get to sleep. I couldn't even sleep unless I had some CBD. To just calm me down enough to sleep, so that I could actually just get some sleep. But the THC component is really the most important part of that. What do you say about the THC component of marijuana, and how do you feel like that best works? And what's
it's really good at making you not care so much that you're in pain. That's really what it does. It just makes you care less,
Yeah.
It does. There is a lot in cannabis that acts on your body in different ways that helps. And together, it's a blessing. I think the THC, the main part of the plant everybody likes, is the part that makes them care less.
Yeah. So you think the poppy is the answer?
I think poppy was our great grandparents' answer, and it worked pretty well for them. And it goes back 3,000 years at least.
Oh, way more than that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Chinese used medicine in, oh gosh, before Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So what do what are your recommendations for people who are in pain?
If you don't have a God, I'd get one. That's the first thing, honestly, because the traffic is tempting to run out into. If you get hurting so bad that and it doesn't go away and you lose hope, it'll take a God to keep you from going in the backyard and not coming out. So that's the first bit of advice I'd get is find some faith in a higher power. And then Stoicism, the Stoics, they help a lot with transmuting your pain into something. And then pain's not so much a bad thing. It's more like in just an emotional energy that you can use, and you don't get so emotional about it. It helps you not always think about the kid in Walmart that wants the piece of candy that's throwing a fit because they got told no, that didn't really care if they got the candy to begin with, but they got told no. So they're emotionally, they're just destroyed. If you let yourself, if you don't keep your emotions in hand, your body will get the better. It'll make things so bad that you can't handle it. You just can't. And the pain's real, and the amplification is real, and together it can be too much. So I would go with God first, study the Stoics second. Then I would have the plants growing in your grandma's garden, and I would have the books on the shelf. And then, no matter what, worst case scenario, you can take care of yourself. Then I do everything you can to not need it. And not
have you ever heard of something called wild lettuce?
Oh yeah, I've crawled through fields looking for it.
So do you, just out of curiosity, because I've heard of, thanks for reminding me about that, Lisa, I have heard about wild lettuce for a long time. I have a lady that I follow. She does the home apothecary, and she was on the Alone series. Nicole Apellion is her name. She's one heck of an amazing lady. And I heard about it from her. I've not been able to locate any. Hopefully between you and Lisa, I can find some to grow. But I use that home apothecary. So when I have something like, I grow marshmallow root, for example, for indigestion and other things, it's really, it's really great. It will beat the absolute heck out of Tums. But you kind of need to have some kind of directions for these things, Kenneth. You don't want people just experimenting. I don't
want people experimenting at all. I tell people very clearly, this is deadly. This stuff can kill you.
Yeah.
If you grew the plants up and started experimenting them, it doesn't take much to turn it into something that can kill you.
Yeah.
So like I said, some of the books I suggest are more serious than others. Some are history books. Some are cultural, I guess, in nature. They're more like something you'd find at Hot Topic if you're that kind of, I don't know how to explain it, but they're different books. And but I do have some very serious books on the chemicals and everything. People don't necessarily need to act on this information to benefit from it. It's a bad place to be where you feel hopeless and you feel like you need medicine to get better, and you're not going to get medicine. That if you think you need to get medicine to get better and then you don't have it, you're never going to get better. But if you have it within that long reach, technically it's possible. If I really needed, it's not so hopeless. It's there. I don't need to go through that. I just know it's there. I can do this. I can get better. That's the ultimate goal, is to get your stomach right, to get moving, and to learn how to just live with the pain and have a good life while in pain, and to not spend your life searching for a fountain of pills that is never ending, because that's never going to happen. It's not your answer to your problem. Your answer to your problem is you just got to get more serious. But this does take the hopelessness away. It's like having somebody's foot on your throat when you need help, and it's not just not there, but you are scared to even ask for it.
Well, let me ask you this, because I want to have this conversation. We've got so many people in the comments commenting, which is great. And I'll get to your comments. I've bookmarked them, so I won't forget. And one of our commenters says, so why not use FDA approved cannabinoid? I'm just going to skip it and call it cannabinoid. Why do those really offer any pain relief, or is it more like what you said, you just don't care that you're in pain?
They all function in different ways. You have cannabinoid receptors in your body, and there are chemicals in the plant that do bind to those, and they do block the nerve transmissions to the point where it does provide relief. But there's a big difference between somebody who's got a headache and somebody who has bone spurs growing on the inside of their spine.
Right.
You know, and another thing is the FDA approved anything seems to come with a prescription. So you have to get it from somebody, and that's the main issue is you can't get what you need when you need it. So, I mean, yeah, that stuff exists. They got great medicines, but it doesn't really help many people. It doesn't really matter how cheap they are either. I mean, I see things about, oh, drugs are unaffordable, and I'm sitting here thinking, what difference does it make? You can't buy them. But I mean, it's just the way my mind works. Having gone through what I go through, I don't try to get political. I don't, but politics are very much the center of what causes the problems in everybody's life.
Well, and I guess this is the conversation that probably people have tuned in to have us have, and that is, does the government have the right to regulate what you can put in your body? I mean, can they force you to take a vaccine? But on the other hand, can they say you can't have this even though it might make you better? Because there was at one point in time where the government was actually considering regulating homeotherapeutic like supplements. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even be taking the stuff that I'm taking right now to try to get rid of my gut issues. I mean, because I would have to bow and scrape to somebody else. So does the government actually should they have the right to regulate that?
Well, since the New Deal, they do have the right to do it. I mean, they created the right. So, you know, the real conversation is which one matters, the rights the government creates or the rights we're born with. We have a right to take care of ourselves that we're born with. That's from God. That's why our founders talked about God. That's why Benjamin Franklin, who didn't really believe in God like we do, said that God's important. It's because if rights don't come from God, they come from government, and the government can decide. And so the government decided, you know, with the New Deal, it could, and it did, and it has. And like all things progressive, it's gotten worse.
So let me ask you this. So if somebody, I'm trying to figure out how to ask this, Michael, jump in anytime here. So if somebody is taking marijuana, however they take it, but they're driving and it's impaired their ability to drive and they hurt somebody else, how do you solve that problem?
Just like somebody speeding. I mean, reckless driving is reckless driving. If you can't use blood because it's in their system for too long. I could smoke a joint right now and then tomorrow get into an accident that accidentally kills somebody, and they would say I was intoxicated and blame the medicine. And in all reality, it's probably me if it happened. But they would still blame the medicine. So it's not a good marker. You can't trust that. And they know. Anybody who would say that knows.
So I guess you answered my question the way I was hoping you were going to answer it, which it was, you don't tell everybody what to do. You solve the problems as they pop up. If this person's driving drunk, you get them off the road. If this person is misusing drugs, you fix that problem. You don't solve the problem by making everybody do one thing. That's the wrong way to do government. That's stepping on all of us to solve two problems.
Can I say something here about that?
Oh, of course. Please.
Okay, so I was listening to you.
You're
guys.
my guest. You can't say anything.
So I was listening to you guys before you had me on talking about the data collection and everything. Okay?
Right.
We don't lose rights anymore. We have different layers of rights. They get thinner the fewer layers you're able to access, like gun rights. You're allowed to have a gun, but you're not allowed to have that gun, or you're not allowed to have it there, or you're allowed to speak but not there, and you can't say that. our rights thin to certain degrees depending on where you're at and who you're with. The data collection, the reason why our governments care, everybody thinks it's about ads and advertising and business, and it's not. It's about categorizing us, because we are not ruled over the way people think we are. We are governed by procedures according to what we are characterized as, or categorized as, and they put us in these little boxes, and they tried to make everything. I think about it like the military. The military doesn't build an airplane around a pilot. They build an airplane and then they put a pilot that fits in it. They don't even adjust the seats. I mean, they picked the guy out they want. They have a standardized pilot. They have an idea of a standardized citizen too. And human nature and just life in general has a way of we don't fit into the standardized citizen model. We're not soldiers. We don't do what we're told. You have to tell us why we should do anything before we even consider it, and we just don't fit in. But all the data collection is about categorizing us so that the certain rules can apply to us, and they know which ones apply to who. So I don't know. It's just it all fits together. I mean, it does all work together.
Oh, no, they set the system up great. I'm not faulting the way they set it up. I'm just faulting that they set it up in the first place and that we somehow allow ourselves to go along with it. I want to put this one up because this is, I think this is kind of the personification of the question that people who might not think the way that we think ordinarily would ask. So medical marijuana is legal. So I thought people were happy to have the freedom to use medical marijuana. I guess I'm not understanding what we're to be concerned about. And I think it's a fair and valid question. And I'm going to answer it, but then I'd like you guys to answer it too, because I'd like to see kind of where we all are on that. So my belief is that it's more libertarian. And I believe that people should be able to do the things that work for them if we're to have a free society and a free country. And when it doesn't work and we have people who abuse that, then we punish the abusers. We don't punish the whole system. So that's, I think, why we're having this discussion is for, in my opinion, for that reason. I think we've got to stop looking at government or pharma as the answer to anything and realize that, as Kenneth said, we've been here many, many, many thousands of years as human beings, and we've cared for ourselves and managed to last this long by ourselves. So, and using what God gave us. So I think my perspective in having you on today, Kenneth, was to make people aware that we're still in a box. We're still in the box that government put us in, and we need to struggle against that box, and we need to see where that box is. So that's my opinion, but I want to hear from you guys. Kenneth?
Well, I'll chime in.
I'll
chime in real quick.
Good.
First, before Kenneth. I mean, I agree 100% with what you said, Jenny. The only caveat I would put is when it comes to the corporatization of that industry, that's where I have a lot of problems. I don't have a problem with you growing, me growing, Kenneth growing, my own medicinal use, whatever it may be. It's when you have all these massive corporations or these, out of the country money, coming in here, having these huge grow farms, things like that. I mean, so does that need to be regulated, stopped? Yes, in some capacity. I want, big business, big corporations, big money out of that picture.
No, that's a fair cop. And I completely agree. Like, we have a bunch of illegal grows here. We have, a bunch of Chinese people that have come in and bought property, and no, we need to solve those problems too. So no, you're right about that. I agree. Kenneth?
Well, okay. So I don't feel free to use marijuana. I feel like I now have a government made right to buy the privilege to do it. I'm not free to do it, but I can pay and get a privilege card. to do it, and I can go about that route. I'm also charged a sin tax on my medicine though. And so that makes the whole freedom angle hard to swallow. I'm allowed to use medicine if I pay a fee and I act accordingly, and and all my acts are approved and sanctioned, and I comply. And the whole point of it is to make sure that I comply. It's a caveat that was carved out into the law for people who are in pain that other people are taking advantage of. The real problem in the state is not that we have too much pot. The problem with our state is that we have too much freedom, and the states around our state have a problem with that freedom because it's seeping into their states. And all the bad actors are taking advantage of the freedom. They always do. But they're complaining about our state, we are being pressured by our government because other states' governments are pressuring them. So they want something done about it. Our government's supposed to do something about it, and what they want to do about it is legislate. It would be like if Chicago came after Texas because of the gun laws. It'd be like Chicago saying, we don't have nobody here is allowed to have guns. Most of the guns come from Texas. Texas needs to change their laws. And they put enough pressure on Texas for Texas to actually go after their own citizens and try to regulate. The way anybody regulates is they find a problem. They find a group. They find a threat. They find something that they can get everybody to say, yeah, that's bad. And then they use that to blanket legislate whatever it is they need, and they tie the most ungodly things to it. I mean, like I said, the reason this started is because they tied it to women's rights to vote. That's how it got started. They tied it to something so good.
Prohibition, basically.
Yes, prohibition. They tied it to it. Now, at the time, neither one of them could pass on their own. And so the women back then, they welcomed it because that was how they got the right to vote. There was it wasn't like they were doing wrong, but that's the door they opened up.
Well, but they do that in Congress all the time,
because it's worked from the beginning. They've done
absolutely.
But this
you're not going to eat the poop unless we put enough chocolate on it. So
it didn't start with the laws changing. It started with the Constitution being reinterpreted to allow for the laws to change.
I would agree.
So if we're going to do anything about it, we can't nitpick the laws. We have to go back to the Constitution, and we have to force it to be interpreted the original way.
Yeah.
Now
I'm with you on that.
That would change everything. And honestly, I tell people that could start a war in its own.
Yeah.
Because if we got to that point in the Supreme Court, it would either come down to the Supreme Court saying we are not free, and then that would probably start a war, or it'd say the government is not justified in its existence, and they wouldn't go quietly into the night. So I mean, do you want to push it because you're going to end up? That's where you're going to push it to. I don't want to push it that far. I don't want to. I want to just get people the information they need and get people the seeds they need, and then let them be adults about it.
God, there's so many great, I love our viewers. Don't you? I mean, I can't, it's like, I'm trying to listen to Kenneth and then I'm trying to look at the comments, and I wish we could just have everybody on the show all together. I do want to put this one up and then I'm going to go back. Because man, me and Gracie, I think we're like sisters from another mother or something, because every time you say something, I'm like, yeah. I mean, if you can't read that statement and not understand it, then this isn't the program for you. I mean, you're going to have to go way back to another program because we are allowing this. I mean, trust me when I say things are bad. It's so bad. But if we choose to give up on trying to at least get it back going in the right direction, that's why I'm running. I just can't lie down and go, okay, well, it's just crap now. It's going to be like that. I mean, I just feel like at some point we're going to have to push back. If it's ever going to get better, we're going to have to push back. But so many of us just want to. Oh my goodness. I looked at, yesterday was voting day for city council races in our favorite school bonds. And I went out and looked, and the voter turnout was worse than it's been, I think, than I've ever seen it. So 1,500 people in a 30,000 person community come out and vote $20 billion worth of bonds in for a school, and you're like, when you can't afford to keep your house because your property taxes are so high because your school wants a stadium, then at some point, I guess you're going to wake up and figure out what's going on. But I was seeing so many people on our Luther Facebook page. You better go out and vote for these EOC bonds. They help our kids. This is for our kids. We need to do this for our kids. And I wanted to, but it wouldn't have helped anything at that point. And that's not the venue to do it. But I wanted to just go, stop, check. What do you mean when you say this is for our kids? What are the facts? Tell me what the facts are associated with this bond. What are they doing? Do you know anything about it? And people they just operate on emotion and it's for the kids. Things works every time, and people will not use the brain cells that the Lord gave them to come to some conclusions on their own without having to listen to their superintendent go, you better get out here and vote for that bond. It's the same place where we are right now with all of this and the medication and the being told what we can and cannot take and that kind of thing. So I want to get some of these comments in because we're at an hour right now. But Kenneth, if you had to tell people one thing from your particular journey, what would it be? I mean, something that you've learned, something that you just feel like, if I had to tell, I have this, platform right now, here's what I want to say.
Go to seedsofvice.com. There's a lot to say. I guess if I could say one thing to one person, it'd be to people who are on the edge of doing themselves in,
losing it because they're in so much pain. Yeah.
Don't let the law break you. I have to be very careful what I say. Go to seedsofvice.com, but don't give up and don't give in, and just hang on long enough. And if you go and read what I wrote, it should give you enough hope to get through it to the point you will get better. You don't have to go down that road. Don't choose that.
Well, I have to tell you again, I wish people would go to your website. I was really surprised about how in depth it is and how much is on there. But Michael, I hope I don't put you on the spot, and I hope you're not going to be mad at me for doing this. We've talked about it on the show though before. You will not take medication.
No, I don't take any over the counter, anything. I mean, I'm 100%. I love homeopathic medicine, tinctures, things like that. Anything that I can grow or do. I mean, I just refuse. I mean, unless I'm like in emergency situation, I'm about to die and I get rushed to, the hospital. Thank God for emergency medicine. I appreciate, pharma in that capacity, but I will not take any, even aspirin, whatever. I won't do it.
And you're on and off because you have to keep standing up because your back hurts so bad.
Yeah, I pulled a muscle in my back, so I have to get up every now and then. So I will be looking at your website for sure, Kenneth, and I'll be probably buying that opium book, and I'll probably be growing some.
I don't sell that opium book, but if you want, it's called Opium for the Masses. I give them away from time to time. I am writing a couple about it's called Proof of Progress. It's how we got here. And then I'm writing a book, Seeds of Vice, which is basically a better version of the website in print so that it can't be deleted. And when I get those, I'll give you guys a copy of that. That's the perfect way to be. That's how everybody should be. That's the adult way to be. No, you shouldn't be trying to take things to get better. You should be trying to eat in a way that makes you better. And pain, the first place I would tell somebody to start with pain is with your stomach. No matter if it's your ankle that hurts or your head, just start with your stomach. Get your stomach under control, because it makes things. It amplifies all pains in your body, just like emotions do. So. But the ideal situation is to have everything you need and not need nothing.
Well, I totally forgot about mentioning this. I'm just curious if you've heard about this, you guys. I think Michael, you and I have talked about it, but I don't know if you know about it. Frequency stimulation. Have you heard about that, Kenneth? So Michael and I talked about it briefly one day when I was in so much pain. Lisa knows. She said a couple of things on here about, because she knows how much pain I was in, like not functioning pain. And one of my friends, who, God love her, she's just been through the ringer with breast cancer, and she found out about frequency modulation, and she told me about an app to put on my phone. And it's an app that is just noises, because all sound is a wavelength, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's just different wavelengths that produce different sounds, and that there have been neurologists who have studied this for a very long time and are understanding that some forms of sounds can actually make you feel better. So I was in bed one of the nights that I couldn't sleep because I just, I mean, you can't even describe, pain like that. It's just not even describable. Most people just don't get it. But I took the app because I'll be honest, I thought it was kind of hooey, and I felt embarrassed about that, but I kind of thought it was hooey. So I put it on because I thought, in my pain fog brain, I was like, oh, I'll just put this on there in case. So there was this long list of frequencies and what they did. And a huge long list. And some of them were for very specific pains, like pain in your middle toe on your left foot. I mean, they were just crazy. I was like, how can this possibly be like that? But I picked one because I was still under the impression that it was hooey. So I picked one that I thought, if it was going to work, it would be this one. And it was one to sleep when you were in pain. So that was what the frequency was for you to be able to sleep when you were in pain. So I put the frequency on. Obviously, my husband's sleeping there. So I've got my headphones in and I'm listening. The next thing I know, I'm not joking about this. I'm really honestly not being hyperbolic. The next thing I know, I was awake, and it was like sunlight coming into my room, which meant that it had to have been like 6:30 or 7.
I believe it.
So I was like, maybe some things that you think are hooey really aren't hooey. And then it may be as well, because nobody knows your mind. I mean, the only person that knows your mind is God. There's so much to it. And I do think there is something to, when we want something to work or when we believe in it, then I think it has a tendency to work. Whereas if you're just like, it's hooey, it's not working, it's not going to. So I may have been in so much pain at that point in time. I was just like begging it to work, like trying to force it to work, but I don't care. It worked. Mm-hmm. And I got some of the best sleep I'd had in a long time. And I used it again a couple more times, but it was odd because it didn't have quite the same. I didn't have quite the same reaction to it as I did the first time I did it. But I'm just saying, I think we have been so indoctrinated by pharma, by government, by the elites, that at this point, we're not even able to discern that there might be something out there, because then if you did, you'd be crazy or there's something wrong with you. And so you're like, well, I don't want to be the only one out here going, hey, that frequency thing worked for me. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure. They want to be the only answer. I mean, that's power and control, is people like that. And that goes back to what you were saying, Ken. I mean, goes back to the late 1800s, early 1900s, all those people, all those, robber baron type of people back then, the global elite, little forces. And, just on that note, Jenny, that's kind of, on that whole energetic side, that's when Royal Rife, in the 20s and the 30s, he created the Rife machine, which was basically an energetic, it was some type of energetic. He could identify those issues in your body through his machine, and they basically just squashed all of that science that he developed in some capacity. But it was about that, your body's a energetic field, and he was able to read it and diagnose it and treat it through energy in one way or another.
Yeah, so I think we're just not. Let me get through some of the comments, unless somebody's got something else. Rockefeller medicine hijacked and vilified the homeopathic system.
1000%.
Thanks, Roho Oki. It's legal, and that's Lisa was saying. Having seeds and that kind of thing is legal for now, but they're the idea to it's all about making money off of it. Our tax rate is ridiculous, and they just want more and more money. I've had hives and worse from certain antibiotics. Oh my gosh, me too. But doctors weren't concerned. Seems they're only concerned when it's opioids involved. Any doctor should be concerned if you're having hives, Lisa. It can lead to literally death-defying problems. And then yeah, the DMSO, it just plus it stinks. Has anybody used DMSO? It smells so bad. Somebody gave me some, and I was like, I don't know if I can put this. Gosh, I've been where Jenny was, and no amount of meds would relieve it. Death was looking like the answer. Thankfully, over 5 years, it's less than it used to be, but probably will always be. Pot never helped me either, freaked me out, and that's about all it did. So there are, and I guess that's another thing we have to think about too. Everybody is an individual with a completely different metabolic profile. And so some things that are going to work for you aren't going to work for me, that aren't going to work for the next person, that aren't going to work for whatever. So we definitely have to keep that in mind. So, opioids may not be, it doesn't work for me, right? I mean, it will close my throat and make me die. So that's not where we want to go with that one. So there are obviously people who have problems with different things. And we just need, I think, Kenneth, if I could sum up what you're saying, maybe in one ideal would be that we're all different. We just need to have access to what works for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And nobody knows what works for a person better than that person.
I know.
And honestly, that person, I'm not saying, we're not a free nation, but if we were, that person would own themselves and they would have control over it. So,
I know. And I
think
that
can't even drive a car without a seatbelt, Kenneth. Otherwise, you get a ticket.
that's the last ticket I got when I was a kid.
That's the only tickets I get.
Yeah.
Seatbelt tickets.
they give you tickets for not wearing a seatbelt.
Yeah, it's $20.
Michael.
No, for real.
THC is what hits our cannabinoid receptors and helps calm seizures and helps manage pain. CBD does not. But I don't know why. CBD really calms me. And especially when I was in a lot of pain, and I have a CBD stuff that I use on my neck, which is all screwed up, and it really helps. So for whatever reason, Lisa, CBD actually does work for me. I mean, it definitely gives me a level of calm that kind of allows me to, work through all of that. Yep, I've been in chronic pain since 2018. It gets so exhausting. It is exhausting. It's just your brain stops functioning. Thank God for cannabis. I'll have to check out that poppy thing. It sounds interesting. Jenny, did you ever try Epidiolex, Merino, Syndros, Sesamet? No, those sound scary, but I have not. No. Wild lettuce. I still need to get seeds from you. I wish there was a way to know how much THC is in a gummy. This is another thing. They vary in strength, and the Chin Mafia suppliers put so much poison in them. I'd be scared of them. I honestly, Chuck, I'm with you. I was like, people would say, well, you need to go get a license and go get some gummies or something. And I was like, I don't know, Michael, I think you and I have the same thing possibly, which is I don't want to be out of control. I don't want to know. Mm-hmm. I don't want to feel out of control in my body. I don't want my body doing something and I'm like, I don't know what it's doing. I don't want that. I just don't want that.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with you there.
Some of our friends, that's what I'm saying. You're going to have to give me some. So why not use FDA approved? And I think we talked about that a minute ago. And I don't know. I think part of our problem is the 3 letters FDA in the first place.
Yeah.
It can kill you, but when you're as much pain as Jenny was, you're not living. It makes people move to Canada where they won't be side-eyed. Well, I was thinking about doing something for sure. Study after study was done in the 80s and 90s about keeping ahead of the pain and how it sped up the healing process. Nobody talks about these days because opioid crisis. I will say this. Kenneth, one of the things that really resonated with me that you said that Michael, I think had to have resonated with you because I see you as a stoic. You and Dave, my husband, are very similar in that respect. And I do think stoicism I think there's something to that as well, because when I would be in so much pain that I couldn't even think, I couldn't, like my mind was jumbled and I couldn't even I couldn't find a way to form a cogent thought. One of the things that I could do is I would just sit there and just try to make everything in my body relax, and the more I focused on just doing that, like I'd start with my toes, and the more I just focused on that, the less I was focusing on the pain. And I do think there is something to that. When you give your brain something else to work on, another problem to work on, that helps. I mean, am I wrong? I'm not wrong about me, but I mean, because it works for me. But I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? Especially you, Michael, who won't take anything.
Well, just real quick before you chime in, Kenneth, I've literally just over time, no matter what the issue is, I have literally just mentally convinced myself that I like pain. I like the feeling of pain because it lets me know that I'm alive. I mean, that's, there's good and bad feelings, but I've literally, like, if I get hurt or even like my back now, I don't complain about it. I may be a little more ginger in my movement, but I don't harbor the pain as something absolutely terrible. I'm just like, yeah, it's okay. It's here. I'm still alive. My body's here. God made me this way. I'll heal in time. Enjoy it while it's here. I mean,
you give yourself a pep talk.
Yeah. I just convinced myself that pain is not necessarily a terrible thing that I can't deal with. I've just made myself believe that it's good in some capacity, and at some point it'll go away. I mean, that's how I deal with it myself.
Kenneth? Because you were talking about stoicism and studying the Stoics.
You have to, I have to, I don't want to say anybody has to do it my way, but my way has a lot to do with controlling my emotions and to not letting them run away with me. And when I wake up, the pain is one man's 10 is another man's 10.
Yeah.
But my number is usually up there pretty high when I wake up. And so I have to wake up pretty early to collect myself before I do anything. And so a large part of my morning is setting my emotions aside about how I feel, and wrapping my mind around what I actually have to do and what the day needs from me. And then it is what it is. I mean, you don't get anywhere by feeling bad for yourself, and you don't get anywhere by wallowing in self-pity and focusing on the bad things in your life, whether it's physical or financial or any problems you have. It all ends the same way, and it's not good. But if you can just be how you are at any given time and be emotionally okay with it, you're gonna be okay.
Well, it takes practice, and you talked about a higher power. I was on the phone to Jesus all the time. I'm like, man, all the time. And but it does help. I mean, I'm with you on counseling people in that direction. I would always feel a lot less hopeless, when I was talking to Jesus. I felt like, okay, I'm dying, but I can do this, just hang there with me, Jesus, and let's get this done, So, I mean, I do think there is something to stoicism. I do think there is something, I mean, even to what you're saying, Michael, the brain isn't powered on this. The brain isn't built for this. That's not what it's built for. So I definitely think, there is that. Catherine said, yeah, they did try to go after NDA supplements a while back. I do think that there were enough of us now that believe in homeopathic medicine, that had they tried that, there would have been possibly a bloody revolt. I mean, I think people are finally starting to see the light on some of this. My husband's a medical physician. He prescribes different prescriptions for pain, especially those in the last stages of disease. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Catherine.
It's okay to give somebody who's dying pain medicine.
Yes, I agree.
It's okay with the government. Like my friend, he passed away within the last year, and from the time he got diagnosed, I think there was a week where he didn't get pain medicine. But outside of that, they gave him whatever he needed, and I appreciate that about them.
Well, when my dad was on hospice, I mean, he was literally from the pain medication. I mean, he was literally almost unconscious, for a week or so, and that's how he needed to be, because he couldn't even, it was so bad. He couldn't even, his quality of life was so bad. He couldn't even, function, couldn't even, try to move or anything. So, I mean, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, and when my mom's brainstem collapsed, I mean, you never know what people are feeling, but I know she was hearing us, because she would, squeeze Gwen and my hand. And so I know she was hearing us almost up to the, within probably 6 hours of her last breath. So you just don't know what they're feeling. And it scares me to think, that she would have been in pain. So I am grateful for that, for sure. We talked about this one. Anything that industrializes gets ruined.
Yeah.
And we have to be concerned about the chemicals used in marijuana. Absolutely. Others have a monopoly in this area, and also in the prescription area. We have no autonomy over our own bodies. There's your friend, Kenneth, my friend Lisa.
Yes. Yeah. We do not own ourselves. We do not own ourselves.
Which is just pathetic. Are the corporations present to be ready for recreational marijuana? They already are. I mean, they already are. They're there. I shouldn't have to ask for and be granted permission from someone who doesn't live in my body to manage my pain. I think that's the whole bottom line. Why do you care? And then it comes down to this. I mean, you and I have talked about this a million times, Michael. This is what they say. Well, you might do something irresponsible. Well, if I do, then get me. Otherwise, leave me the hell alone. How about that?
Well, Kenneth, who, in your opinion, like who's behind kind of the blocking of that pain medication? Is it more, and it's probably a combination of all these, but like who's more responsible? Like the government, the insurance companies, the medical associations, pharmacy, big pharma. Like who's more blocking that whole situation?
Okay, so everybody benefits. Everybody you just listed benefits, but none of them are responsible, and that's why it continues to go on, because they can honestly say, "I wish I could help."
Yeah.
And that they didn't personally do anything. It's just the way the system is. And so everybody you mentioned plays their role and benefits from it. But the way the system was designed, okay, the old deal separated powers. The new deal separates responsibility from power. Like, it created all these different agencies and stuff, and it shifted the authority from the states to the federal government, and then the federal government shifted it off, pushed it off onto the agencies. And so the state government can't help you. They didn't actually do anything. The federal government can't help you. They didn't actually do anything. And the agencies, they're not elected. They're ghosts. You can't touch them. They're smoke. They exist, but you're not getting to them. And they do whatever they want. They don't have to listen to you. They're not accountable to you. They're not accountable to anybody. So,
why we call them unelected bureaucrats, and AKA the swamp.
And the what do they call it? The dark government, or what do they say?
Yeah, shadow.
Yeah, the shadow government. It's just the New Deal structure that was put inside the Constitution. They had a revolution. The progressives have a revolution that was not violent, that lasted from 1913-ish to 1937. And they fundamentally transformed our nation without severing ties with the Constitution. They built it within the Constitution. So they carried on the history as propaganda and sold everybody in their programs on the love for the old country. And meanwhile, we're all being managed and governed through procedures while being categorized and data mined.
Well, just as a little coincidence, Kenneth, that same time frame, don't forget that's when they also just happened to put in the Federal Reserve, and then wind up, into the 30s, seize our gold, and then put in the Gold Reserve Act, at the same time. It's all conglomerated into the same people.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. They built the system that they could collapse. When we got the Federal Reserve, and the government was pushing people to borrow money and invest it in the stock market. The government was pushing that. And then they established the Federal Reserve that was the beginning of the separation of responsibilities, because who were they? Nobody, but they're everybody. And then they put the country in a situation where they had to raise interest rates, just like we're in now. And so they literally created the Federal Reserve to tank our economy so that they could do this. That they couldn't have done it with that otherwise. They had to get everybody in the country into debt, which is something that we would not have done. They were promising us that if we put $10 in the stock market, we'd get $100 back in a year. And we could borrow $90 for every
until 1922.
And so they set us up and then yanked the tablecloth, and they already had another table set for us to eat at.
Yeah, that's pretty
good. This all happened before, when our great grandparents were young.
So here's what's going to happen, Kenneth. If I let you and Michael discuss this, we'll be here for a week.
Yeah.
One person I know uses marijuana control seizures. A guy another guy uses it to control nausea. Another one, severe anxiety. Many just use it for the enjoyment. There will always be those who abuse the right, whether it be illegal grow farms, those who falsely have med cards, or those that abuse using it. And I think that's my point, Gracie, is you penalize the people that are injuring other people. If you want to be an addict and you kill yourself, whose business is that? You would hope that a nonprofit would come alongside and say, you know what, you are one of God's children. You should be having a better life. You would hope that would happen. And we would definitely hope that happens. But then on the other hand, you can't have government stepping in and saying, oh, you might kill yourself. Well, okay. What does that do to you if I do? Now if I do it to somebody else, then you have to penalize me. Whatever that looks like, I have to be removed from the society if I can't behave. We don't do that anymore. We punish everybody for the one person, and that's why we are where we are. But that's the way they want it to be. My pain's not on the table for others to negotiate, but it is their right to use it how they want, much like alcohol. We're not losing our freedom. That was Gracie's major one for the day. The FACE Act did the same thing, arrest Christians outside clinics, arrest protesters inside a church.
Yeah. They arrested protesters outside some of those abortion clinics just for sitting on the sidewalk, literally.
Yep. I agree. In my opinion, it's basically the same thing as alcohol. I refuse to accept that it's too late to turn things around. Well, Gracie, that's why I'm running, because I said that. But I'm just saying, it's just, if we don't wake people up, if we don't get more good people up there to, and I was thinking about this the other day, because once filing comes around in May and they feel justified to spend the money, it's going to hurt. They're going to do things specifically to hurt me. And, most people don't want to be put in that position. Not like I do, but I'm just saying, I see it coming. I know what's going to happen. It's not that big of a deal to me. I don't like it, but it's not that big of a deal to me. But tell me how many people could stand that? You know what I mean? People can't. Most people go, oh no, they called me a poo-poo head. I have to quit. Right. And we have to find tougher people. We have to be tougher ourselves. We have to find tougher people. We have to find people who are going to not care when they call you a poo-poo head and do what you need to do. That's, to follow your own convictions and do what's best for the majority of people. So that's where we are. Robert says people are checked out and I can't blame them. Even my staunchest conservative friends want all these bonds for the kids.
Yeah. Well, Catherine Ann made a comment at 10:09, Jenny, and I just want to hit that real quick because I don't think we hit it, and I want to make sure Kenneth kind of chimes in on it.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
But I agree 100% with what Catherine says here. We're and you can go ahead and read it, Jenny, because I can't because my camera's right in front.
Good to remember that what works for one might not work for someone else. I've tried Rife. I'm not sure what that is, Catherine. Cold therapy, red light therapy, compression therapy, supplements, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Some work, some don't. It's very bio-individualistic, 100%.
Well, and just what I want to say to that is, like we've been on this earth a long time. People over time have figured out what works, what doesn't work. Yeah. Until like why you're on here, Kenneth, the whole reason with the poppies and us being able to basically determine our own, ways to treat ourselves. I want to have, without government interference, without state interference, without, American Medical Association, I want to have available to me all methods that I can try to see what works best for me without having, massive interference from all these people.
Well, I believe as long as you don't harm anyone else, you should have the right to do whatever you need to. And it changes from person to person. I think the only qualifier a person should have to live by when they're trying to live in their own skin is, does this hurt other people? If the answer is no, whatever works for a person should work for a person.
Yeah.
I don't know what the argument against that is other than the but what if part. And we've got to just push back on that. But what if what? If something happens, then you deal with it at that time. But we're not going to legislate, but what if? I mean, you deal with it at that time. Now, I say that, but how many times, Michael, and if you and I talked about the laws that they put in without looking, down the road. And so, I think what I'm talking about is personal behavior specifically.
Well, yeah, I mean, it really comes down to all personal responsibility and that last comment, then how do we protect children? I mean, it's my job to protect my children. It's not the state's job or anyone else. It's the value and moral system and critical thinking process that I instill in my own children, and I'm responsible for that. I don't want, look at the government. The government literally allows people to be killed every single day by big industry, big pharma, vaccines, drugs, or whatever it may be. They allow that. So to say someone else, can make a better decision than me with my own kids or whatever it may be, I think is ridiculous. But it comes down to that same fact, Jenny. That's why we have all these issues, because people don't really want to take responsibility. They want to take a pill and they want to just move down the road. They don't really want to learn. Easy button. Yeah, they don't really want to learn. And I say that in general. I know that there's a lot of people like us out there, like Kenneth out there, that are going to take responsibility. But the masses, they don't want to take responsibility. They just want to hit the easy button.
I'll take it to the end. The WEF UN doesn't care about anyone's pain because they don't care about humanity. And by that, I know she means the elites, but please don't blame anyone's not getting adequate payments on doctors. Seems people want to often vilify physicians, but they have to operate by license requirements. So I don't think we're vilifying physicians so much. I think it's the state that's our issue. Because you're right. Unfortunately, there are physicians that are so locked down by insurance companies for sure, but by state regulations that they just sometimes give up and do something else. I know at least one of those, and I did know two of them before one of them passed. So, I totally get that. I don't think that's our issue here. There are people that can't use cannabis. It's not for anyone to decide what I put in my body unless it's harming me or others. But see, I have to say, even if it's harming you, Sarah, it's none of my business. That's your problem, not mine.
Yeah, I don't want to make it my business.
I don't either.
That's what got us here is it being allowed to be up for a vote, whether or not that was going to be everybody's business. And I don't believe in protecting people from themselves, I just don't. I believe in natural selection.
That's going to get you in trouble right there. Boom.
I'm not trying to be popular, and I don't have any reputation. I've been considered an addict. I've been sober, like truly sober, for years. And not even like I was abusing or anything, but just like coping, using it to cope. And when I was, my reputation went out the window. So I don't have a reputation to lose. So I don't mind saying that if you hurt yourself, honey, that's a personal problem.
But it is.
It's not a public problem.
Yeah, it truly is. It goes back to that whole, And this is the argument for that. You have to wear a seatbelt. You have to wear a helmet because taxpayers are somehow going to pay for that. Okay, well, have you ever thought about just not making taxpayers responsible for that?
Yeah.
I guess things seem so easy to me.
Everybody wants their cake and they want to eat it, and then they want to have cake at the end of eating it. And it's just not how anything works. You can't be protected from the government and be free. You can be free, and that's dangerous and risky, and that's the American way. That's how we used to do it. People all over the world talked about us for how crazy we were just for being here, but that's how we were, and that's what we liked, and that was our life.
Whatever happened to Evel Knievel?
Oh my! I just seen his van on Facebook, and I'd buy it.
We know we don't even have. You used to have people who would like. I couldn't watch it because I'm like a heights person. If I get like 6 feet off the ground, I'm like crying and just get me down. But there used to be people who would do all kinds of crazy things, and it's like you don't even see that anymore because we are such a feeling society now. We've lost the ability to intellectualize things, so we just feel about them. And so people scream and cry, get him down. But dude, if he wants to do that, let him do that. If you don't want to watch, you don't have to. We are turning into sheep. I mean, every day we are more and more becoming sheep. And even the people who think they're conservatives are becoming sheep. And you're like, but you're not even seeing that you're becoming a sheep. I don't know. Okay, we're going to have to wind it up here in a second. People like Sarah. Sarah says, I'm an alcoholic amputee. That was almost 2 years of sobriety. Cannabis works heck of a lot better to help ease my pain than alcohol ever has. And so that works for Sarah. And so that's good. And Robert says he's with you on the pain thing. I'm not getting in the room with you two. I mean, it's not going to happen. I'll love you independently, but I'm not getting in the same room with you two. I just got here. Could y'all start over so I can pretend? Julia, how long have you known we start at 9? I'm just saying. Personal responsibility.
And also, Jenny, since we got a lot of people on here, for anybody that missed the very first 5-6 minutes, go back and watch that video that we put up of the insurance companies accessing those flock cameras and already lawyers dealing with that in court.
And send them to Tom Gann and send them to your representatives at Oklahoma City Council. I don't even live in Oklahoma City, and I'm affected by one of their stupid cameras, and they don't care. So just saying. Okay, let me just get a couple of these. I'm always concerned about becoming, Yeah.
Here, you know what's funny, Jenny, since Robert said that, I'm so... You mentioned that control issue before. I'm not like a control maniac with my wife and kids, but with myself, I am. Yeah. And I am so like anti-control on myself, or not anti-control. I don't even drink coffee because I don't want to get addicted. I don't want to have to depend on coffees. That's how like anti-dependent I am at that level. I mean, I've made it a point that I'm going to have zero dependencies.
Yeah, there's something to be said for somebody who can't be shook by something being taken away.
Ooh, well said, Kenneth. Well said. Well, I have cut down my coffee a lot, and for some reason it's weird, but caffeine has never bothered me. I mean, I could literally drink a pot of coffee and go to sleep, and it just doesn't do anything to me. And again, it's that personal, your whatever your metabolic profile is. My profile doesn't care anything about caffeine. So now I get mushroom coffee. So I get, a little bit of caffeine, but I get my mushrooms and not the psychedelic mushrooms. Julia says, well, because we got to get in her comments, and she was like getting on. Tyrants want to rule. They're predators. They're sociopaths with a God complex. It's true. It's very sad. Okay. Government has the power, but responsibility still falls on we, the people. Very unconstitutional. Yeah. But it's like you said earlier, though, Gracie, we're doing it to ourselves. I mean, so long as we let them legislate this stuff, then, and you're letting them legislate it if you're not paying attention to what bills they're passing down there. Just saying. If people can have relief for other issues like Jenny discussed and for anxiety, then something I'm not understanding. I don't understand that. I'm sorry. But no one's being penalized. Marijuana. Okay. I'm not understanding where she's going. I think so too. No, I am not in any way for recreational marijuana to be legal. I just feel like that opens up. We don't have enough personal response. And it sounds like one of those things where I'm being inconsistent, but until we have, until we have a certain amount of responsibility, a personal responsibility, I'm not for recreational. I just don't, I don't know. That's where I am right now.
As a libertarian, that's probably the hardest, road right there. Yeah. But
it is. I mean, it's tough because as a libertarian, I'm like, well, you do you. But then on the other hand, I look what's happened to just individual citizens when we did medical marijuana, because and this is probably a good time to pimp this. At 1:00 this afternoon, we're going to have a very interesting special with a lady who actually was following OMMA rules before they changed the OMMA rules and put her out of business. So I think you need to come and listen to that, because I think part of the reason why I say I'm against that is because of what happened with the medical marijuana. They did not put any kind of, they opened it up, but then did all the wrong rules. But then we ended up having, Chinese government coming in here and buying things. Now we have an illegal grow going on where people are selling it to other, and that's putting other people in danger. And so I do think one of government's jobs is to protect the majority of people. And if that means protecting them from, Chinese gang activity, I think that's one of those things. But, at this point in time, I'm not for that. I'm in the mind your own business political party. We don't organize at all because we're minding our own business. Y'all, that was great. Nobody laughed. I thought that was hysterical. I thought that was hysterical.
Yeah, it was.
Imagine if they would just stop poisoning our atmosphere. That probably has something to do with it. Okay. And then our doctor friend says, then how do we protect our children? Well, it's up to every parent to protect their child. Exactly. What if this happens? Yeah, but what if it doesn't? I agree, Kenneth. Choices have consequences. You alone have to own your own. Well, this is interesting. Saying it's parents' responsibility is a weak argument. Do all the horrific acts against kids the fault of their parents? Parents deserve to be protected. Of course, parents deserve to be protected. Absolutely they do. Absolutely they do. However, I think part of the problem that we have is that we've grown up a set of parents who don't understand that it's their responsibility to protect their children. And that's a problem that we're having. And then the other problem that we're having is that the government has taken over the responsibility of parents and is parenting for them. Like we had the case of Dana's son, Preston, who was being taken away from her for political reasons, not for legitimate medical reasons. So I guess there are enough problems to go around, but we have to stand solidly in the corner of the fact that parents are the ones that care for their children, not the state. And the state should do everything they can to protect the ability of parents to take care of their children. And they should protect children, that there's a fine line between protecting children and stealing children from their parents because the government thinks something is happening. So again, individual situations are best.
Yeah. And the amount of episodes we've covered where that State Department has come in, and separated families and, given children, away to people that are going to perform horrific acts with those kids. I mean, that's, that stuff would not take place in the parents, in the parents' house.
Another good one from Julia. As my mom says, everyone loves individual freedom. It's the personal responsibility part where you lose them. It's true. Oh, Lisa has a good question. Jenny, question, whether the Chinese illegal grow farms are because government controls medical marijuana, because that's true. And boy, I'm not, I'd really have to study that, Lisa, because I'm not sure. I'm not saying government doesn't cause all kinds of problems, because I'm there with you. I'm going to have to conceive of that. Guys, what do you think? Help me out here.
I mean, everybody likes a little freedom. I mean, if I was Chinese and I wanted to do X, Y, and Z, and there's a place in America where I could buy land and do X, Y, and Z, I would.
But, that doesn't benefit. It doesn't benefit our economy, which should be the last on the list. And it definitely doesn't benefit the health and the safety of the people here, to have people who are not citizens coming here and doing things that they shouldn't be doing.
Right.
I mean, and it's illegal all the way across the board, because I am not libertarian enough that I don't believe in laws. I believe in laws. And if you don't like the laws, then we need to change the laws. But if we have the laws, then we need to enforce the laws. That's why I would like to get rid of the seatbelt law, and I would like to get rid of the helmet law, and I would like to get rid of you must have insurance for an uninsured motor law.
The first part of changing the laws that people need to really start focusing on in general, because I think a lot of people have forgotten this, is the first part of changing laws is being law abiding. You have to be on that level. You can't break laws that you don't want to be and then think that you can walk into where they're written and do something about them. You can't. You have to button up. You have to obey the laws you don't believe in, and you have to be able to walk tall when you walk into any building. I mean, if that's what they want change, that's what they can get. Otherwise, they're just looking for some anarchy, a little fun, but it's fleeting.
Wow.
Well, yeah, and on that note, Kenneth, I mean, we've talked about it multiple times on this show, Jenny. The bad actors, the bad guys that they keep passing all these laws for, that only hurt us more, they don't follow the law anyway. I mean, that's what it comes down to. The good people, we follow, we already have a moral code and basic, right and wrong in our mind. We generally follow the law as it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. And you know what? All we have to do is look at England. I mean, England is a shining example of that. So they got rid of all of the guns. Did that stop people from using guns? Did it stop people from using knives or bricks or bats or whatever they wanted to use? And the answer here is no, just in case you don't know. At least it says it's not at all a weak argument. Parents are responsible for the safety of their own kids, period. Simple, true. Sorry if she disagrees, but that's the truth. I believe in God's law. We need to disciple people in his ways. And I do think that there's, we didn't have a pot problem in the 60s, 70s, and 80s when weed was used heavily, only when Uncle Sam stepped in to help with medical marijuana for those they deemed eligible. And that goes back to what you were saying to Kenneth, is I'm still not free, even if we have medical marijuana, because I have to do this and this and this and this and this to comply with their laws to be able to even do that.
Not only that, you have to pay. I mean, that right there, when you have to buy a license to do something, whether it's take medicine or vote or whatever, it's not a right anymore. It's a privilege you have to buy.
Yeah.
And people who don't buy it are not that privileged.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is.
I'm with you on that. All right. Well, we're going to have to wind it up because it's 1:51. And even though we've got a nice audience today, I just think it's probably time because we've got another podcast at 1. So I need to take some time and collect my thoughts. And Michael, are you going to be able to be back, do you think, at 1?
Yeah.
Ooh, that'd be great. So I think that's going to be so be here at 1. Kenneth, thank you so much for being with us today. Let's show your website one more time. Let me put it on the stage and show it one more time. It's called Seeds of Vice. And this is just the front page, but he has so much on that website. It's really, honestly, I think you'd find it fascinating from multiple stages. So please go to the website and check that out. And Kenneth, thank you so much for joining us today. That was, it was a lot of fun to have this conversation. I think it's way overdue. And I think it was really a great conversation. So thank you for giving us that opportunity.
I enjoyed myself. Thank you for having me on.
Well, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. And hopefully we'll talk soon.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye. Boy, did I enjoy having him on. That really gave us, I think, some interesting things to think about. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah. I haven't, I never really, I mean, I'm glad we had him on because I want to really look into that whole poppy side and well, his whole website. I mean, obviously he's done a ton of research. He's had, physical, the physical implications of that pain pretty much his whole life.
Yeah.
So I'm glad where'd you come across him or what,
So
how'd that come about?
Like I said, Kenneth and I knew each other probably 15 or 17 years ago when David and I got started in the 912. Glenn Beck came out after 9/11 with this 912. What would we do on 9/12? Let's act like we did on 9/12, which is when we were all together and we were all flying American flags and everybody, was concerned about everybody else and the state of the country. And that was Glenn Beck's idea, which is what the 912 was actually for. And so David and I were a part of a group that helped establish a 912 organization in Oklahoma City. And then Rhonda Lamont Smith did one in Tulsa. And then the one in Oklahoma City, we had several different people who were Kenneth lives out west of the city. And it was hard for him to get into the meetings that we would have in Oklahoma City. So he started a 912 out in the western part of the city. And then we had one that was on the east side. And I mean, that's how I met him. And he came across our podcast one day and he just sent me a message and he said, "You probably don't remember me, but this is, we did this together." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I do remember your name." And so he said, "Hey, this is what I'm doing right now." And I was like, you know what, this would be a great way to have a conversation about something that nobody really wants to have a conversation about. So I'm glad that he, said that he wanted to come on because I think that was great. And I do want to point out, so Gracie said, we do need basic laws. We've just allowed too many laws to dip into personal choice. And I do agree with that. Seatbelt and helmet laws have saved far more lives than marijuana ever took. Food for thought, no matter which side you're on. And I don't know about laws have. I do think for example, my son rode a motorcycle for several years and I wasn't going to let him go without a helmet. I mean, I just personally, I wasn't going to let him go without a helmet. Now, if he decided he didn't want to ride with a helmet and he was over 18, I couldn't really do anything about it. But I think it's stupid for some police officer to flag him down and give him a ticket for not wearing a helmet. I mean, do you follow what I'm saying? It just goes back to personal responsibility in my perspective. Like around here, even though I know what they say that you're more likely to get into an accident within 3 miles of your home, I get it. But I don't wear my seatbelt.
Yeah.
I just don't. I'm going to get in and out of the car. I'm going over to our friends. I've got to go to the feed store. I don't. But if I'm going into Edmond, especially Edmond, those people are crazy in Edmond and there are 80 million of them. Or Oklahoma City, or I'm going down the highway, I wear my seatbelt. It's just common sense to think that if something happened, I might have a better chance if I have my seatbelt on.
Yeah.
But that's my responsibility to make that decision.
I was going to say the exact same thing on the helmets and seatbelts, even with myself. Yeah, I'm so anti-seatbelt, but that's because I want to make the choice whether I wear the seatbelt or not. I don't need the state making the choice for me. And just like you, Jenny, if I just hop in my car and I'm driving up to the corner or something, or I'm going over to the store, I'm not even going to go over, 20 miles an hour or whatever. I'm not wearing my seatbelt. If I'm going down the highway, yeah, I have my seatbelt on. If I'm going over, 35, 45 miles an hour, 95% of the time, I have my seatbelt on. Do I let my kids, all my kids ride motorcycles, even my 11-year-old, all my boys, 4 boys, I've got, I got 5 motorcycles. So everybody rides. Everybody's got to have, proper foot gear. They've got to have gloves. They wear helmets. They wear the proper protection because I'm their parent. I'm responsible for that. So, I don't need a law to tell me, how to protect my kids. That's what I want to say.
And I think that's what we all meant, So, does Kenneth's comment at the end about not wanting to be forced to get a permit mean he wants regulate? I don't know. I mean, and I honestly, I don't know that that's really the argument. I think the point he's making is this, and I think this is where you're probably missing our point. We're sick of government interfering in our lives, period. And while the government does have a responsibility to protect life, liberty, and property, right? Those three things. The Supreme Court has meant the life part to mean now you have to nanny me into a seatbelt or a helmet or a, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So the government has taken away personal responsibility under the guise of protecting life. Okay. Protecting life means that we're not going to kill people because they're old. We're not going to kill babies in the womb. We're not going to kill people because we just don't like them or they're not politically expedient, or that's what we mean about protecting life. What we need to worry about is protecting liberty, which means that I should have the ability to fail at anything, even if that means that I'm taking drugs and I kill myself. I know that's unpleasant for people and people don't like to hear that. But I think that's because we've been raised on somehow this notion that that we live in a bubble and we're supposed to live in a bubble and we're supposed to be protected. Yeah. We're not.
Well, but you look at the larger scope of that, Jenny. You've got, from government schools, government housing, government aided food, all those things, to where it gets people used to not taking responsibility, and they have to. They do what the government says because ultimately, the government is providing in one way or another. I mean, it's just that whole system is completely, been broken and used against us, and we've allowed it. There's no doubt about it. We've allowed that to happen.
Well, I don't have to invite you again, Lisa.
That's pretty funny.
Gracie said, I always wear a helmet, but my husband has hearing issues, so he seldom wore one. It was just as dangerous for him to wear a helmet as not wear a helmet. I myself won't ride without one. But again, you made that decision, just like we made those decisions for our kids. It's like, you will wear a helmet, dude. I mean, sorry. When you get old enough to say no, I'm still going to try to coerce you into wearing a helmet, but it's you at some point you have to take over responsibility for you.
Yeah. Well, and I'll chime in on that last comment.
Okay.
Even with like my responsibility as a parent, protecting my kids. So we made the choice to not vaccinate our kids. But I've always told my kids, once you get older, if you want to go down that path and you want to get your own vaccinations, or you feel like you need, a flu shot, or, that's up to you. I don't think that's the best thing for you. I don't think that's the best thing for your health. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm not going to impose my will on them when they're, grown adults. I've made my case for protecting them while they're my kids under my care. And when they get older, they know that if they want to go, relive their entire childhood vaccine schedule, they can do it. Do I want them to do it? No, but
Well, but and again, I remember when I took my kids out of school and I started homeschooling. Oh my word. Are you crazy? What's the matter with you? And you just heard this constant stream of, you're killing your kids, or, whatever. I'm being obviously hyperbolic, but there was a lot of consternation about why in the world would I think that I was better at, educating my kids than the school. Well, I do have a master's degree in biology, which is way more than most of the teachers that were teaching my kids. So I guess we could start there. But the point of the matter is that it's my responsibility to make that decision for my my kids for myself. And I will tell you, my oldest son and I had, we had a big fight, like fight. Well, not fist fight, but you know what I mean? Huge argument. And he said that he felt like he was put into a situation with homeschool that made him not as competitive for scholarships and things like that as kids from like public school or private school.
Yeah.
And so we had this, and so you shouldn't have done that to me. I should have been enrolled in regular school so I could have gone on the, well, his girlfriend was a graduate of Bishop McGinnis and got a free ride scholarship to college because she's also a science genius. And, you know, I get that some people have that opinion, but I think later on down the road, and I think he's already started to, because now he has a job that's making more money than David and I ever made when we started out. I think, and with no college debt, I think that he's finally starting to go, oh, well, you know, I think I managed to make it on my own. You know what I mean? So I just think.
Well, and it means more. It means more, Jenny, when you have to go through all the grit and the hardship and everything, and you accomplish that. You have more self-esteem, you have more self-worth, you have more appreciation, you know, for everybody else that did that same thing. So, I mean, I'm not, I mean, that's how I am also. I mean, I want to, you know, you can only really learn through those hardships. You know, if all you do is win or get everything for free, you know, you never really learn, you know, the actual process of how to get
the entitlement syndrome from. You know, I don't even know how to get it, so I'm going to complain that I don't get it. That's the problem that we have right now. So let's do one more, and then we're going to have to get off of here because it's late. But marijuana is a major money-making industry. Lots of people want to make money, so that does motivate people to push freedoms. And I do think that's accurate, but I also think that's a kind of a cynical way to look at it, in the sense that you're definitely on one side of the fence that you're not seeing the other side on. And, you know, I can respect that, and everybody has their opinion, and that's fine with me. But I'm just saying, I can tell you very clearly that you haven't been in chronic pain. I can tell just by your arguments, and that it's not something that has been in your lexicon of physiology or thought process. And I can respect that. Again, I do. But on the other hand, that's not where a lot of us are. And a lot of us don't care about the money. We just want people to leave us alone and let us do our own thing. And so I guess and you're right. There are a lot of people that are interested in the money, which is why there's a stupid dispensary on every corner. But just because that's the case doesn't negate the fact that I'm a responsible person who can do what I want. And I do think that's a cynical argument.
Yeah. Well, but one thing I'd like to add in there, Jenny, is you're not going to see an industry maybe with more death and more money than pharma itself.
Factual.
So, I mean, you want to talk about the corruption and coercion of just the natural goodness of people and doctors and the medical establishment and how medicine used to be compared to how it is now. You have more death, more corruption, you know, more bad dealings, pushing bad drugs on people. And then, you know, 10 years later, oh yeah, that, you know, just dealing with the lawsuits. So, I mean, when it comes down to it, to me, the real nut cutting comes with pharma. We need to completely revamp everything that has to do with pharma. And if anything, I mean, you've got pharma just being able to advertise on TV, controlled substances.
Right.
I mean, I have major problems when it comes to that kind of stuff, you know, and it's
well, and there are some great pharmaceuticals. My son is, you know, type 1 diabetic, and, you know, without insulin, he would be dead. So there are some great pharmaceuticals, and I don't want to diss everything.
No, and I'm not
pharmaceutical, but I just think that they're way out of control.
Yeah, and I want to make that clear. I think emergency medicine is probably the
Yeah.
greatest Western invention ever in the
I
world.
agree.
You know, they can save your
Triage.
life with all kinds of conditions, but the treatment, the regular treatment, and not actually helping people get cured in one way or another through other means, whether it be natural or whatever you want to say, but just to profit on the constant treatment of people is where I have major issues.
Amen.
And it's so corrupt. It's just
Well,
so
enforcing
corrupt.
vaccines on people
Oh,
that
yeah.
don't want them. I mean, and enforcing vaccines on them. I mean, insurance saying, hey, if you give them these extra shots, we'll give you extra money, or pharmacy, Pfizer or whatever, giving them kickbacks for giving more
Yeah.
vaccines. I mean,
Well,
that's
the
the
whole-
kind of stuff that I just think is completely out of control.
Yeah, the whole incentivization of the pharmacy side. And there's been I need to get these two guys, and I'll say it on another podcast, but there's two guys that have been, on that pharmacy side that have turned out, to say, hey, this is all the crazy stuff that happens. And then they've created kind of their own, bio companies out of it. That's more on the natural side. But both of them had like huge interviews with Joe Rogan and some of these other, and some of the stuff they say is just mind blowing.
Yeah. So, and I think this is the trick. So she says, but we have legal medical marijuana. People should be happy. And I think the point of the matter is that we didn't take care of the problems right up front that there were going to be. And then we didn't allow people who are citizens to be able to direct their health the way they wanted to without being directed by the state. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
All right. So, Michael, I'm glad you were able to sit down. Bless your heart, but go stand up until we have our podcast at 1. And then we'll get back on here and we'll visit with Wendy and her, some of the people that were involved in her business. And I think that will be a very eye-opening interview.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much, everybody, for being with us. I think this was a very interesting conversation to have. I'm glad we have it. I think we'll still develop it. I think talking back and forth is what's important. I think we all learn something from each other when we do, and that can only make things better. So thank you so very much for being with us. And Michael and I will see you again at 1 o'clock. And I guess that's it. So see you at 1.